Spencer.
And I'm Amanda.
And this is the Literary Grapevine. If you're under 18 or saw us grow up, this podcast is not for you.
Very good point. Just an FYI, before this episode, and actually every episode, we will never have actually talked about the book together or discussed the wine or drank the wine. So everything happening is real time.
Yes. So a little bit of a table of contents for what we'll do is we will spend the first minute and a half, 2 minutes talking about the wine. We'll go over where it's from, location and winery, and then also we'll give our ratings. Like Amanda said, we have not tasted this before, so we'll give our ratings, and then we'll also explain why we chose this wine for this book specifically. Then we'll go into about 10 minutes of non-spoilers. We won't tell you anything that would ruin the experience of reading the book for you. Then we'll make a statement that we're going onto spoilers. So if you don't want to hear the spoilers, you can stop there and fast forward to a time that we will give in the podcast info where we talk about next week's book. And you can follow along and read with us. So that's kind of a little bit of the table of contents, and we'll try to keep the same flow throughout every podcast. But yes, we're going to start with the wine. So the wine is, it's from Native Spirits Winery, and they're actually in Norman, Oklahoma. So that was pretty exciting. I didn't get it at the winery, but I have been there, and it is beautiful. They do ship as well, so it's great. This is called Dragonfly Sweet Blush. And why I chose Dragonfly Sweet Blush, once again, not wine experts. We are wine amateurs. I thought that this book needed something that was really light and refreshing because of the main character's personality, and I wanted something that would match that. Also, this is not really a reason. It's just one of the things I could think of. She blushes through the whole book, so I thought that, blush and maybe, whatever. Anyways, it's a it's easy drinking, supposedly, off the label, and it's a medium pink white Merlot with a flavor profile of strawberries. So that's what we should be expecting. Amanda, why don't we find out if that's true?
Don't mind if I do. Here we go. Give it a pour.
Okay. In my non-expertise, it smells like wine.
It looks blush colored.
Is it a little sparkling? Does yours have a little sparkle in it?
Yeah, it's got a little bubble to it, so I'm thinking maybe.
Okay, what a pleasant surprise.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, Amanda, what do you think?
I honestly really like it. I do.
Your face definitely said that.
Did it really?
No, you pinched your face.
I kind of looked disgusted because my initial drink of it was like, it tastes like fruit juice.
Okay, yes, that's what I was thinking too. Is it's very, the strawberry profile is very prominent.
It's one of those that I could literally drink the whole bottle and not know that I was drinking alcohol, and that is concerning.
Not if you're recording a podcast.
At home.
At home, that's right. We're not in person anywhere. Amanda and I are both at our homes. And so we can drink as much as we want and get as unhinged as we want. I think it's also really good for summer, which I know the book didn't really take place in summer, but just because of the main character's vibes, like I just was thinking summer the whole time.
Well, now that we've passed the wine test, on a 5-star rating, though, what would you give it?
Well, let me give you my professional opinion. I would probably give it, I think, like a 3.75. That's me being non-committal. There's other fruit wines that I like better, but if you like strawberry specifically as a taste, I think this would be a much higher rating.
I'm personally not a big fruity drinker. Like I like gin and tonic is probably my favorite drink. So for me personally, I give it like a 3. I knew you were going to give like a point something because of who you are as a person, where I'm like 2.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I really do like fruit wine, so that might be a theme. So Amanda, you'll have to pick some wines at certain points because
Fair enough. No judgment.
yeah. And eventually, where we want to go with this podcast is after we have a few books and we have a few wine, we want to establish a rating system that corresponds from the wine to the books. So that is something that we do want to look forward to. And if you have ideas for it, go ahead and send them our way. But we do want to kind of come up with a scale of how the wine matches to the book. That is a little better than just the main character blushes. So we're going to work on that.
We have room to grow.
We do.
Okay, well, now I would like to talk about the book.
Yes, The Fine Print by Lauren Asher.
I will say from judging the book by its cover, this book looks like it is right down my alley.
Okay. I feel completely opposite. Like I looked at it and I was like, this does not look like something I will enjoy.
This is not me.
Why? Like, tell me why.
Just like, I don't want to say like I love big buildings, but like I do. I'm fascinated by architecture and I love just like a statement. And I feel like that book cover just looked like a statement. And you throw the word billionaires in and I'm immediately like, let's talk about money because like I can't relate at all. And so I'm curious as to like what point or perspective that's going to bring. And then the fine print, I don't ever read the fine print anyway. Like we know that when you see the fine print, like, okay, I don't read it. And so I wondered if that was going to be a thing. So like my wheels were turning right when I saw it. But I was captivated when you were like, oh, hey, maybe this book. I was like, oh yeah, that looks like something I would really like. But I'm curious now as to why you thought you wouldn't like it.
I think, okay, so as soon as it said, because yeah, it starts out with Dreamland Billionaires, and I totally ignored the Dreamland and did not put that together, which we'll talk about after. But Billionaires in the Fine Print, I was like, this is a corporate like work romance, and I spent so much time in corporate America. I don't want to read about it. The irony is though, I met my husband at work. So I feel like I should, like workplace romances, but I don't.
I completely forgot you guys met at work. That just made it so much better for me.
It was not like the book at all, though. We're not gonna even no. Okay, so Amanda, what would you say to someone? So are yes if and no if. Like, yes, they should read this if.
I would say like I can definitely say no if first is like no if you are a like a Disney adult.
Totally agree.
I think we'll probably both agree on that. Like if you are just like Disney through and through, this is not a book for you. But I think it is a book for you if you kind of like I don't know. I feel like some people really like twists on things that you can relate to, and so like I love fantasy romance because like that's an entirely different world that I have to imagine. Where like this book referenced like Chick-fil-A, and when it talked about Dreamland, like I in my mind can see that in real life, and so like if you like something that's kind of could happen to you, I guess so to say that this would be a good book for you.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point because you're absolutely right. And I think that's part of why I struggle sometimes with contemporary romances is because I'm like, there's a Chick-fil-A down the road. I don't know. And I mean, but then also that's why I do like them sometimes is that you can also live this other life while reading these books. And so it really depends on the book on how I am with that. Yeah, my no was exactly that of if you're a Disney adult, which love you all, love Disney adults. I mean, just from the name Dreamland, it's obviously like a knockoff on Disneyland. And like I said, it's very corporate. And so I think if you're a Disney adult who just wants the magic and doesn't want to think about a business behind Disneyland, not for you. I think it is for you if you do want to know like business and thinking about how theme parks and like what we as everyday people hope is a magical experience is also a business. I think it's for you. I also think it's a yes if you really like grumpy sunshine trope. I think that was really prominent between the two main characters. I think, if you like that trope, this is a good book too.
And I highlighted a few like um parts from it, just where that like that sunshine grumpy, which is full transparency, not my thing. Some of the things that they like said throughout, I was like, oh my god, oh my gosh, are you serious? This is what we're saying right now. And so it kept me like entertained
Yeah.
for reading it, because we were going to talk about it. I don't necessarily know if I would have kept reading had we not decided to talk about it.
I feel that too. It was really slow and I had a hard time getting into it. And it was one of those things where like the lust started right at the get-go, but then nothing happened until then, like everything happened. So the pacing for me was a little weird, where like I'm like, I kind of like it a little evened out. And I'm a person, I like the build up. Like I do. I like the tension, the build up. I want that, but this one was kind of odd because it started with it right away and then went completely away and then came back like fully on.
Very
So,
quickly. Yeah.
I think the pacing was a little bit different than what I would prefer. Okay. Well, I mean, so kind of wrap up the non-spoilers part. If you're a Disneyland adult who likes the magic of it and doesn't want to know the business, not for you. If you're a Disneyland adult who wants to know the business behind it and is really into like corporate America romances, for you, like definitely for you. If you want a slow burn, probably not for you, because the pacing is odd. It's like really quick and then nothing and then ending with a lot. So also depending on how you like your pacing, that's also a little bit. It was overall like a good read. I wasn't upset with reading with it. I wouldn't rate it like super high. But so Amanda, do we want to do our rating at the end or do we want to give our rating now?
I don't know. I'm kind of two minds about it, because I feel like we could give our rating now. Well, I don't know, because if you're like waiting to be recommended this, I don't like necessarily knowing what the rating is before reading it.
Okay, fair.
But but sometimes I do. Like, I don't know. This is hard. You decide. You have to make this decision. I cannot. I simply cannot. Stresses me out.
This is real time podcasting, everyone.
We didn't talk about this.
Yeah. I think we gave enough feedback about what our recommendations would be if or no, along those lines. So when we do our star rating at the end, which we can also leave in our table of contents list of, when timing of everything, we can list of where we give that rating. So spoilers. Amanda, tell me, what did you highlight and what did you like? Tell me. Okay.
I highlighted like 50 things, but I always find, okay, let me backtrack. I always like to know exactly when we know who is going to love who. Like that is like, what is the very first sentence as to where I'm like, this is the love interest. This is where it's going. I have it on page 11, which I thought was wild when it said, she's beautiful in a way that makes it difficult to refocus my attention at the conversation at the front of the room. And so you're like,
okay,
here we go. And so, first of all, I thought that was quick.
That's pretty quick.
I thought that was fast. And then there were a few things in it that I kind of made me cringe a little bit when we were talking about the sunshine grumpy. Sometimes when we get into romance, I think sometimes that they try to incorporate so many different points of view that try to make it sound a million different ways than like just really keeping consistent with the two characters. And so when I've got to find it because this was the cringiest line in the whole book for me, but this is just me as a person, because I also have one that I love. But if this is what it feels like to be around someone who's pure sunshine, I'll willingly accept the burn. And I hated that line.
I just feel like that guy, Rowan, it would not say that in
would
real life.
Never.
If you took his character profile and put him into real life,
no.
Like the men that I know that are like, I would kind of like compare to Rowan a little bit. Like you could not find them saying that. Like,
never.
Also, I don't know a lot of billionaires, so And by a lot, I mean 0. So
I
maybe
also don't know any, but when I read that line, yeah, I was like, that was weird. There was, I always feel like I find something that I absolutely just love. And so there were two things that I really loved. One, when we talk about kissing, right? It can be so many different ways. And I love when somebody says, and they said it when she said his lips crash into mine. I feel like you can just imagine that so well. And
yeah.
that line for me always in any book just gets me feeling all like, oh my gosh, I just love it so much. And the smile on his face, absolutely positively devious. I loved that.
I could, yeah.
Because that made more sense to me with his personality. Like he is a little
Yeah.
devious. And that matched so much better to me than him saying sunshine.
I think Zara was more of a relatable, and I mean, what do you mean? The sexy male billionaire isn't relatable to me? Weird.
What?
Um, I think as just how they were written, Zara was realistic,
Yeah.
and once again, maybe it's because like he's just out of touch, so out of touch, anyways. But I don't think he was written in a way that I like felt was realistic. Um,
Mm-hmm.
her writing and her perspectives, like her point of view, was really well done. And I thought how she responded to Rowan and her feelings, I think were like real human feelings. Where Rowan, it just seemed like forcing something.
I was attracted to her character. Like I was really
Yeah,
drawn to her, and every time I was reading from her point of view, I was reading it like I was more engaged the
yeah,
whole time she was talking. But
but I
yeah,
feel
I
like
loved it.
Rowan kind of went on and on, like and saying the same thing. Like there wasn't as much depth to his character as there was Zara, and like and I think the author tried with Rowan because they added in a lot of like the family drama in the background on the family, and I think that was good. But it came out in like short bursts, like he'd like trauma dump all at once, where like
Yes,
Zara's character profile like was spread out throughout the book, so you really build on that development. Where Rowan, it was like nothing, trauma dump, nothing.
everything. But
Yeah,
it was hard um, having spent a lot of like personal time working on that, listening to her share something, and then instead of sometimes him being empathetic toward what she's going through, that's when he would trauma dump. I
yeah,
felt like. And so that's not really like anything at it. It was just like in a relationship, Rowan, you
yeah.
need to listen with empathy.
Listen, Linda, listen.
Listen, Linda. But no, it was good. I'm curious to hear like what your thoughts, like your just initial after you were done reading, what were your like thoughts?
I like meh, or as the youngins say, mid. Like just
I'm sorry, what?
mid, like middle. This is really embarrassing. I shouldn't have even said that. I shouldn't have done this. We are very much millennials, and
I have never in my life heard mid.
I could be saying it wrong. I don't know. We're very much almost 30, so we
Yeah.
don't we don't know that lingo, so I shouldn't have brought it up. Um, it's like I just felt like it was just like I mean I wasn't it wasn't anything special to me. I think it was an easy read, and I think it was longer than it needed to be. Uh,
Yes.
but like it was an easy read, and I like enjoyed parts of it. Um, I agree with you. Like I think Zara was definitely more relatable than Rowan. Once again, not a male billionaire, but I think Zara's character was really relatable. And so it's funny that you highlighted like 50 things because I highlighted two. so,
Let's hear it.
so the first one was I gave up the person I was for a man who couldn't handle the woman I was meant to be. And that's 10% in when she's talking about her ex-boyfriend. And that was the point where I was like, yes, yes, you know what? Yes. I thought that was really relatable, and I really liked her exploring like and how she worked through her feelings about her ex, and that she was a very confident woman, and knew like
Yes.
her worth, even though she like struggled at times with self-doubt. It overall like it prevailed that she was confident and she was was a good was worthy of what she was getting, you know.
Yeah.
And then the second one, which I highlighted it because I thought it was cute, but also it's so cheesy because, like, of course, a billionaire who just is like a Disneyland heir and just found the love of his life is gonna say this, but like it needed to be said in the book, you know. But I think he goes, and I just loaded out of this, but oh, it was there are two ways to be rich in life, and one of them has nothing to do with a bank account. I see that now. I see that in you. Um, like cute, but also like of course he was gonna say something like that, you know.
Right. Like we know that that's going to happen. And I would like to also bring up the fact that I hate when people say money like won't fix your problems. Yeah, it would fix most of my problems. So I'm curious, what was your favorite part?
I don't have a favorite part per se. I have a
Okay.
favorite character that like anything she was in, I loved. And it was Annie. Annie.
Yes, me too.
I don't know how the intention was to pronounce her name, so I'm gonna go with Annie. But I loved her. I loved her representation. I loved that she was like strong and adamant, and she was like, you know, like pulling Rowan in to be like matchmaker, and just that personality she had was just so endearing. And I
Yes.
think really that was like where you saw like the best moments of Rowan too was with Annie, and you also saw the best moments of Zara because of Annie.
Yeah.
And just her packing Zara's suitcase for New York City and then packing like a donuts bra and like boxer briefs had me dying. Like this is amazing. Like I love it. It was just so funny because you know like when I was reading that part and he was like, "Oh, I had, you know, your sister pack it for you." I was like, "Oh, it's probably." My mind went to Twilight where Alice like not to bring Twilight up so early in the podcast, but you know when Alice packs that suitcase for
Yes.
and it's all lingerie. That's what I was thinking. And then it's like bra in like boxer things with donuts on them. I was like, yes, that's relatable.
One of my favorite things that like I caught myself like, ooh, just because I am kind of a nerd, is I love King Arthur. And so my
You so
favorite Netflix,
well.
I know, my favorite Netflix show is Merlin.
Oh my god, that is the most Amanda thing I've heard in a while.
And so I just loved, um, like personally, like that had little to nothing to do with the story, right? Like it was a very like mute point, but that part made me just so excited. I was like, I would have loved his mom, and so
Yeah, she
the
seemed like
part,
such a good character, like
I
a
know.
person that was modeled after whoever. But
I wish they had brought more of her story in. I really do, because I think they focused a lot on
was
his
like,
dad, and
yeah,
so
he did focus a lot on dad. I wonder though, because there's two other books after this, with the brothers who were a little bit older than Rowan, because Rowan was
mhm.
like the younger one. So I wonder in the following books if like they bring more memories of her in. But she seemed like she would have been a really cool character to like have heard about.
So are you going to read the next two?
Um, I don't know. I'll probably leave them on like the list of things that if I, you know, get an urge to read. But it wasn't like I was like immediately wanting to jump into it. So I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break and then maybe go back to them. I know both you and I were like, we're going to read all three before this podcast. And then we both struggled for like just this first book.
So I'm curious, now that we've talked about it, what's your rating?
I would give it like 3 stars.
Okay, that's what I was thinking too. And
Yeah.
I'm surprised because I'm usually like a four or five kind of gal, but I also usually read things that like I've thought about for a long time. Whereas I know we're like just picking like kind of what's hot right now or what's suggested to us, and so
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed reading something that maybe I wouldn't have just picked. I mean, like I said, I like the cover and everything, but had I like
Yeah.
read a little bit about it, I don't know if I would have picked it up. Like
Yeah.
you're all
A positive 3 stars. And I'm with you. I'm a habitual 4 star rater. Like
yeah.
I habitually 4 stars, and I never go anything under like 3. I think I've rated like 2 books like 1 star, like 2 or 1 stars. And at
Mhm.
that point, I DNF it if I already know, like if I DNF it, it's a 1 star. If I continue to read it but I didn't like it, truly didn't like it, like it had bad themes or something that I thought was, you know, too much, then I
Right.
go to you. So I think it was a positive 3. It just wasn't like my flavor.
Not like this wine.
I know you saw me pour some more.
Do you want to tell them what our book is for next week?
Yes, I do. I want to preface this with like, I am going into it completely blind. I think Amanda is too. I think I have a little bit more of an idea because of Book Talk talks about this book all the time. And so, but I usually kind of scroll past because I'm like, I haven't read it, so I don't want to participate in the conversation and I don't want any spoilers. Either people are raving, like would lay down their life for this. It's duology, lay down their life for this duology and the main character. And then others who are like, that should be banned, which for the record, we're not pro banning books, but there are like, some people are like, this book is way too much. So we're reading Haunting Adeline, the cat and mouse duology. And if you want to read along with us, please do, but check the trigger warnings before you go into this book. Really check trigger warnings into any book, but especially this one, because it has a lot. I'm excited. I'm scared, but I'm excited.
I am scared.
I'm sure it's a stalker romance, so I think it might scare you a little.
Even better. I can't wait to just constantly be looking over my shoulder for the next however many months. This is going to be so fun. And I think it's going to be fun now that you've said it is, people either love it or they hate it. I am so curious to see like where you and I fall. And I'm also excited to see what wine we pair with it for next week.
Hopefully it'll be picked a little bit better than just saying that the main character blushes. So we're going to go with a blush. And I will say, I don't think, just from what I know about the book, I don't think we'll be talking like sweet, blushing, strawberry wines. I think we'll be like with a very, maybe a dark red.
Here we go. I'm looking forward to it. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks, Spencer. I really enjoyed our first podcast together.
Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. So they're both Literary Grapevine, and find us on both. And that's where we'll kind of post updates and probably other nonsense. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.